Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. Do you remember right before Aaron Rodgers was going to be signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers that the media, woke ESPN and racist Ryan Clark and all the wokesters, they were all having meltdowns that Aaron Rodgers was going to ruin the Pittsburgh Steelers and ruin the locker room. And even you had Pittsburgh Steelers insiders saying the same thing, that he was selfish, that he was a diva. And there was a lot of Pittsburgh fans also following the same narrative. And I don't think it had anything to do with football at all. This isn't a politic channel, but to me, it was all politics. Because if you look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers on the New York Jets, he had better numbers than Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. So to say that Aaron Rodgers couldn't play anymore and he was completely washed up tells me that you weren't watching football, you weren't watching the games, and you definitely weren't looking at the stats. And in 20 years in the NFL, has one teammate ever came out and said any of those things about Aaron Rodgers? No, they did not. But racist Ryan Clark and woke ESPN, they wanted you to believe differently. And it all had to do with politics. And even the Steelers insiders who were saying those same type of things, it wasn't based off of football. It was based off of politics. What I'm starting to see now is the Aaron Rodgers derangement syndrome is evaporating. You don't hear this anymore. Why not? I mean, he is playing excellent because it was never true to begin with. That's why you don't hear it anymore. So Christian Kuntz comes out and says, guys want to play for him. Aaron Rodgers, a great addition for the Steelers. Christian Kuntz says, am I surprised? Am I surprised even this much? No. See, that's the problem. I'll give you the perfect example of the media and what's wrong with today's media and journalists. If they don't like you personally, they will smear you in your profession. Like Jerome Bettis. He seems like a wokester to me. I've seen some of the things that he's said about Republicans and President Trump. And that would be the equivalent to me saying Jerome Bettis sucked as a player. He wasn't physical. I would sound like a complete idiot. I don't agree with Jerome Bettis's politics, but I would never be as ignorant or unprofessional or downright vile and mean to say that Jerome Bettis sucked as a player and sucked as a person. Because I have more integrity than that. I would sound so ridiculous. You'd be like, I'm not watching this idiot anymore. That's what goes on at ESPN and racist Ryan Clark and a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers so-called insiders. This is what they did to Aaron Rodgers. And they did it had nothing to do with football. They didn't like his politics. I've never once heard Aaron Rodgers say he's a Republican or Democrat. He just didn't want to put a vaccine in his body, and everybody lost their minds and tried to make it seem like Aaron Rodgers was the worst human being on planet Earth. Christian Kuntz went on to say, off the field, his leadership is really taking over as guys are buying in and following him, leading to a strong locker room and an offense that is really starting to gel. Kuntz also went on to say, yeah, he's been great. I feel like he's having fun. Kuntz said of Rodgers, according to video via the Christian Kuntz podcast on YouTube, it's been cool. Yes, someone said it earlier. I feel like in training camp, someone said guys want to play for him like they don't want to F up because they know like he's a perfectionist. He wants that. Rodgers is a perfectionist and he has demanded excellence from guys on the offensive side of the football, particularly his pass catchers. Already this season, he's shown some fire too, getting on guys like Calvin Austin III and Pat Freiermuth after on-field mistakes. Well, we've come a long way since Aaron Rodgers has been signed. I remember the Aaron Rodgers derangement syndrome, everybody losing their minds, and they were making it personal. They were making it personal and making it about politics and not about football at all. And if you work for ESPN, the amount of money you're getting paid, you should be automatically fired. And I expect better from so-called Pittsburgh Steelers insiders to go along, just follow the same type of garbage and nonsense, especially when you're at practice, especially when you're inside the locker room and you have a feel and the vibe for the team that others, unlike myself, don't have because I don't have a press pass to get into the locker room. Be a professional. Do things unbiasedly. If a player comes in, and He's totally opposite of all my views, but he's polite to me and he's respectful and he's a great player. That's how I'm going to report on him, that he's a great player. Aaron Rodgers explains why Steelers aren't throwing deep. He's saying that defenses are in a cover two. Until we get them one high safety look, it's going to be precision passing and short of the sticks, Rodgers said. When asked about it again, he repeated, if you're playing cover two, there's not going to be a lot of shots open down the boundary. We're just trying to be efficient. And that could be because of DK Metcalf, and defenses know that Aaron Rodgers still has a rocket for an arm. But here's my problem with this is that if defenses are in cover two, that means it should be easier for the Pittsburgh Steelers to run that football. And yeah, last week versus the Minnesota Vikings, or 2 weeks ago versus the Minnesota Vikings, we had a better day running the football, but we need to run that football. That's why I don't really get involved, weekly with predictions for the games, regardless of who we're playing, because it would get kind of boring. It's the same prediction every week. You need to run the ball, you need to stop the run, and you need to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and you can't turn the ball over. If you do those four things week in and week out, regardless of who you play, you should win the game. That's why I don't get too involved in matchups. Like, yeah, I might mention this guy's hurt or this guy's playing better. But as far as predictions and what the Pittsburgh Steelers need to do on a weekly basis, we all know what they need to do. It's pretty simple. So I don't really waste my time getting into that. The defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, Jim Schwartz, has a lot of high praise for Aaron Rodgers. He's making a living on those short, efficient throws. Some have criticized him, thinking his playmakers are making him look better, but Schwartz believes Rodgers deserves the credit. He's putting the ball in positions that his guys can make plays, Schwartz said. So you're a point guard and you're getting guys the ball and they're open and they're hitting layups and wide open jumpers, things like that. Well, that's the way he plays quarterback. That's a tribute to him. Number one, he's throwing accurate passes that allow them to run after the catch, just knowing where to go, just put the ball in your playmaker's hands. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Aaron Rodgers is going to take what the defense gives him. Occasionally, he's going to take some shots downfield, but I'll take the safe 6, 7, 8, 9 yard completions, then the big bomb down the field that has a chance to be intercepted. This just shows you that Aaron Rodgers has complete faith in his ability to go on long, sustained drives. It shows his mental and physical toughness and his belief in his ability, and he has not disappointed. I said from the beginning of the year before he was signed, after all the quarterbacks signed other places, if the Pittsburgh Steelers do not sign Aaron Rodgers, the season is over before it started. And if Aaron Rodgers gets signed, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a chance to win every single game and be in every single game that they play this year on their way to the Super Bowl. And that's exactly how it's playing out. Aaron Rodgers threw for 4,000 yards in 2024, had this better numbers than Josh Allen. There are no give-me's in the NFL. The league is not for the weak. The league is predator and prey. And once your skills diminish, you don't throw for 4,000 yards and 28 touchdowns. You become the prey. Look at Russell Wilson. He looks totally out of his league right now because his skills have declined. It's so obvious. So if you put the Aaron Rodgers derangement syndrome on pause and you look at his work on film and how he was getting better as the Jets season went on in 2024 because he was recovering from the Achilles injury, you would know that Aaron Rodgers could still play football. Listen, the Pittsburgh Steelers need to win every single. I want to win every game. Doesn't matter if we play the best team in the league or the worst team in the league. But these next 2 weeks with the Browns and the Bengals, who are considered inferior teams, I'm predicting that the Browns game is a lot tougher than people anticipate, and it goes down to the wire. Even the Bengals game will be tough. But we really need to win these next 2 weeks because then the schedule gets really tough when the real teams come in they're good on offense, defense, they're good on both sides of the ball, and they can do it all. It starts with the schedule for me doesn't really start to the Pittsburgh Steelers play the Green Bay Packers. We really need to win the Browns game. We really need to win the Bengals game. Aaron Rodgers is also getting rid of the football faster than anybody in the NFL. People could say, oh, that's because of the offensive line, whatever. You know what I'm going to chalk it up to? An intelligent quarterback who at 41 years of age can still play and has a quick mind and make sharp decisions. and would rather get no yards than lose yards on the play or turn the ball over. Aaron Rodgers is playing outstanding. What's the number one priority this week for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense? And that's to stop Myles Garrett. If you could stop Myles Garrett, you have a good chance to win the game. You have to run the ball and you have to stop Myles Garrett. And whether Myles Garrett has to be double teamed, triple teamed, whatever it takes, I do not want to see Myles Garrett one time being blocked by one person. It should not happen the entire game. If I see one play where Myles Garrett is blocked by one offensive tackler or one offensive lineman by the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to absolutely lose my mind because other teams do it to TJ Watt. The entire game, there's 2 or 3 people on him. Myles Garrett needs to be doubled and triple teamed the entire football game. And if not, I'm going to have a lot to say about Coach Tomlin. I don't want to see it one time. Monson came out today and said Steelers don't have anybody that can block Myles Garrett. No big deal. Put 2 or 3 guys on him. Simple as that. Make other players on that defense beat you. You never let the best player on any team beat you. You make other players who are so-called inferior step up and beat you. Just like teams do to TJ Watt. They say to themselves, if we're going to lose this game, guess what? He's not going to be the reason why we lose. And TJ Watt still performs and still gets sacks and pressures and forced fumbles and everything else. It just shows you how great TJ Watt is. Myles Garrett needs to be doubled and triple teamed the entire game from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon in Acrisure Stadium. Defensive coordinator Terrell Austin says Nick Herbig has earned the right to play a lot of snaps. I mean, obviously, I don't, I'm lost for words. How automatically Alex Highsmith comes back and he's the starter. I talked about the new package, the Bronco package with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they have 3 pass rushers on the field. Nick Herbig, TJ Watt, and Alex Highsmith, and I will always take pressure over extra defensive backs. So let's ride with that. We're seeing a rookie quarterback in Dylan Gabriel who makes good decisions. He makes quick decisions. He has a better arm than people think. You can't just let him have a lot of time back in there in the pocket because I don't care if he's a rookie. He will complete passes and he will eat you up. So you know what the best thing to do is? Make him run for his life the entire game. And the best way to do that, TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith on the field, chasing after Dylan Gabriel, making his life absolutely miserable this Sunday at Acrisure Stadium. Well, I'm going to end it with that. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.